Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 11 of my one-year Rocket League challenge. We're going to be doing a replay analysis this morning. Hello, Beastbound.
All right. How about yourself?
A quick update on what I've been doing, so you're aware. And the main things I've been working on, outside of just warming up in free play with the power slide stuff and a wave dashing and all of that sort of thing, the main area for me has been working on the dribble map, trying to focusing more on control than boost and speed and whatever. And this has gone remarkably well. And I've actually gotten further in this map than I ever have before. I'm currently on level 25, so I'm close to actually finishing it, which will be a huge accomplishment for me.
No, that's really sick. That's really sick. I'm really happy to hear that's coming along. As a bit of a side question, because obviously we do all of this stuff to loop you back in there, chat, as well. To build on some of those fundamentals, and in this case, this was mainly about controlling the car, controlling the ball. How have you felt when it comes to the games again?
So I'm feeling it's a weird thing because okay, well, so I've been playing twos and I've been playing ones. I'm actually remarkably I'm feeling better about ones than twos, which is amazing. But the reason I said I think we need to do a replay analysis is I feel like now there's some weird game sense issues that are getting in my way. So I'm feeling better about my control by and large. There are specific issues which we can get to, but now I feel like I'm doing stupid shit in game.
Okay. Before we even look at a replay,
yes.
When you say stupid shit, do you feel like you're unable to read, you're unable to do something you want to, you're unable to participate?
No, it's probably to do with reading, but not specific reads like off the wall or aerial or whatever. It's more reading of the game itself. So kind of seeing. I almost feel like I'm too focused on the next move rather than move 2 or 3, so that I'm properly positioned and in the right place. So more I feel, and when you look at the replay, it might be different, but I feel like I'm having positional issues.
Okay. I guess now comes the question that I want you to answer. You said you wanted to build this all from the ground up. This is the first replay analysis we're doing, especially on stream, but
yes,
for the challenge since it started. So far, we've just done exercises. We're building your control. We're building step-by-step fundamentals, upwards and onwards.
Yep.
What is it you're looking to get out of this replay analysis?
It was for me the positioning, I guess, more than anything.
And are we looking for like the positioning fundamentals, basics, build it, like restructure it, or build on what we already have?
It's kind of like, well, I mean, if you see from the replay, it's either we need to take it back a few steps, or we just need to tweak it, or we need to overhaul it, and I'm not entirely sure.
Okay, so that's going to be the focus. That's going to be the main concern. That's the main thing I'll be looking for as well. Okay,
great. And then the other thing that I've spent quite a bit of time on has been the rings map, and you had suggested doing a rings map backwards, in terms of aerial control, which I was doing, and then I found when I spent a lot of time on that I got how to fly right way up after that. So I've kind of mixed it up where I'll go through a bit forward for a bit, back for a bit, and just kind of switch it up just so that I'm sort of practicing the muscle memory of both.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I really like that. That kind of is the next step. So I actually didn't expect you to get complete, like 100% control backwards, to the point where you misremember how to do the other way around.
Yeah.
The idea of this is actually to kind of explain this one even further, if I haven't already.
Yeah.
The idea behind this exercise is to get you to understand the different orientations. How does the control work in different orientations? So that when you are spinning through these, for example, which is something that we'll get into once the arrows become more prevalent element of these rotations.
Yes.
Adjustments when in a different orientation
Yes.
can be made instead of having to go to what I call a safe zone and then you can rotate again. So that kind of flexibility it offers in these moments is what we're after.
Okay, great.
If you're getting to a point where you're no longer able to fly forwards,
Yes.
you've gone a step too far. What can you tell me about the game?
I'm trying. Oh, this was yesterday. So this came at the end. I had played. This was game number 10. I'd played 4 1s games, and this was the 6 2s game. And this was our first loss. So you'll see, I was with a teammate when I was doing the 2s. And it was. Oh, and in fact, it was a rematch. We had just beaten these 2 players in the previous game, and then came in here, and as you saw, kind of got hammered. There's nothing specific I remember as it stands now.
Okay. So again, for those of you that are new to this or have never seen me coach, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look through a little bit of time first. I'm not going to be extremely nitpicky and pick every single, like, oh, your wheel is, 3% too much to the left right now. That's not what we're here for. Thank you for the sub. I just realized.
Thanks, Acid. You're a good man.
Sorry, I was like, huh? That's my bad. So what I'm looking for here is larger themes, especially because we're looking at like a pretty large element of the game. I want to see the trends more so than like the one time you make a mistake.
Right.
That makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's start at the beginning. Awkward 20-second silence. All right. First 15 seconds we have seen. So let me take you through this one step by step. Obviously, first of all is the kickoff. I'm not going to look into specific kickoffs, the benefits and pros and cons of like heading for a boost instead of following up, for example.
Yes.
What is interesting, however, is the rejoining here of the play. In the current situation, it is a 1v1, Z-Bone still being on the play. And the way you rejoin when it comes towards positioning is very interesting because of where you're actually headed. If you look at this play, and I ask you specifically, where do you think your next interaction with the ball is going to be right now? So Complex has just jumped past the ball. Z-Bone is still behind it, and Khoisant or Khoisant is...
Khoisant, yeah. I'm trying to... my next well, I'm kind of where I am now is I'm thinking I'm waiting to see what's going to happen between Complex and Z-Bone. And
so
yeah.
At this moment, Complex has just jumped sideways and has missed the ball.
Oh Jesus! I didn't even notice that. That's okay.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
So this is what you see.
Yeah.
Z-Bone gets a touch to the side. Complex jumps past. Z-Bone gets.
Oh wow! Okay.
Where is your next interaction?
Okay, it's more than likely is going to be mid. If because the way he's going, he's heading sort of toward the net. Complex is recovered, so I should be heading to that middle circle.
Here.
Yeah. Oh, further up. Yeah, middle. The second X between second and third X, sort of in that direction.
Okay, so you're looking to get towards that direction.
Yes.
And what needs to happen before that? Before the ball goes there?
Well, Z-Bone has to touch it and move it in that direction, or pass it, or whatever.
Does he have to touch it, or does he have to pass it?
He doesn't have to pass it, no, because I mean he may have a clear line of goal there. If he hurries up, he can get ahead and possibly score.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So there's a couple of situations that can happen here. The first and most obvious is you probably, if I look at this and I just show someone this picture, you probably wouldn't have to go for this ball. If Z-Bone gets a good touch here, congratulations, you have just scored your first goal. Moments over. That's fine.
Yes.
So at that point, there isn't much for you to do. The second situation is Z-Bone completely misses it. It's unlikely. Hey, it's happened.
Yes.
At that point, the ball is going to stay right there. So either you have nothing to do, or you have to be here.
Okay.
Going for the ball next. The third is either a passing play, or in this case, Complex turning into the ball and playing the ball into the midfield. So the positions you are currently setting up for, roughly, is there's nothing. If it's on target, you don't really have to do anything. You either go there, there, or there.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about the positioning you are taking here, or realistically the situation, or not the situation, the trajectory you have taken, is that before anything's happened here, before that information is available to you, you've already decided you're going to pretty much drive up to where Z-Bone is, and in the follow-up, you can see yourself kind of driving off again because you realize you can't go for that.
Yes.
And then it's like, all right, well, you didn't actually get to realize what happened. You didn't actually get to play for what happens. You've made several decisions. The amount of decisions you make here, based on the information available to you, is what's interesting. Because you have decision one, you're boosting across the field, getting to behind the play.
Yeah.
This could be fair. But then there is situation two, where you're driving past or away, or like turning completely in kind of anticipation of Complex hitting this ball, presumably towards your half again, which would make sense. When that ball doesn't happen to actually go to the left, like you kind of probably presumed, you went all the way to the right again. So the trajectory you could have taken here was from the boost to there, and you would have had like 5 additional seconds.
Okay.
But instead, you took kind of a route like this, and you did way this.
Okay.
Or like even further, even because you went all the way like up, left. And now you're going like that. So you have done so much more driving than necessary to get to where you were.
Okay.
If this happens multiple times, I actually don't think it's a positioning thing. It's a priority thing, stupidly enough.
Interesting.
And there may be a more interesting topic to discuss than the positioning itself.
Got you.
But for now, we continue onwards. Because you keep the pressure up. It's a good touch around, a little bit of a follow-up into the midfield, and then an additional set of follows up here. So the first 15 seconds, you have spent essentially trying to get to a position where you could get like one touch, and then on the follow-up, you placed it somewhere, dare I say...
dangerous.
Dangerous, yeah. So in those 10 seconds, you've had to prepare for something. You found yourself in a position where you ended up not being able to actually do something, and it's going to sound harsh, but useful.
Got you.
And that is what should probably be a priority.
Okay, so the priority what? To get myself into a position to be useful?
Well, to speed up the process, so instead of once every 15 seconds, you can either do something quicker or make the process to be efficient.
Okay.
And in my opinion, I'd rather have you spending 20 seconds to set up and make 3 very valuable touches per minute than have you touch the ball 9 times and none of them go in the right direction.
Okay.
Because 3 valuable touches can be, 1 goal and 2 saves, or 2 goals and a pass, or whatever it is you are currently doing. But right now, there was an opportunity for you to do something, and I don't think that was utilized.
Okay.
Right? It's kind of continuing onwards. I see a lot of time getting ready, getting set up, getting to a position where you want to do something. So at this point already, I am convinced that a slight change in the system you set up may be more important to the positioning kind of that you came with. Are you happy with me changing the subject slightly?
Of course, you're the guide. Absolutely.
Aye. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce or reintroduce, because I think I've discussed this with you before, my system of Arita.
Yes, you have, and I'd love to go through it again.
Absolutely. So for those of you in chat as well following along, or for those of you in the long run trying to follow us all, I'm going to explain my system of Arita as it is the system I use, the basic system on which I build a rotation. I'm going to do a little bit of Art. Yippee. Now, I'm not an artist, so bear with me. But we're going to use two sides. So on one side, I'm going to explain what a reader is. It's this side. And a reader is a couple of steps. It is a couple of letters, and they all have a meaning. Now, for me, a rotation is everything you do between action and action. And it happens to sound funny. One rotation, as people refer to it, is one full cycle of these steps. So if you take a look at this beautifully drawn field over here with the very much representable goals, this is one rotation where wherever you hit the ball, which is presented by this beautifully drawn ball with the X in it, you do an action. So far, we're all clear, right? This makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the first thing you do after you've hit the ball? You can no longer follow up on the ball, so the first thing you do, what's that?
Well, you got to react to what's happening. There's a response to the action, I would assume.
Mm-hmm. And what's your first response?
Well, doesn't that depend on? Oh, okay. Now I'm remembering. I'm cheating now because I remember. Recover.
It's recover first. Yes, the response is all fine. You have to respond. But if you're responding before you're on your feet again, it's like, imagine you're walking and midway through a step, you're trying to again take another step. You'd fly if that was possible. It's unable. You've not recovered. You can't do anything properly. So yes. The first step indeed is your recovery or recover.
Yeah.
This just means all the things you got to get done. That doesn't mean you have to be 100 boost at back post, positioned in the perfect situation, but you at least got to be ready to go again. That depends on the situation, yes. But if you have focused on a time where you have set up, and in the lobbies you're currently playing, you will have plenty of time to do these things. This means you get a chance to get boost, you get back, you can get ready, you can do all the things you gotta get done.
Okay.
That makes sense, right?
Yep.
Beautiful. By the way, I am also reading chat. If anyone in chat has questions, feel free to ask them while this is happening. I may as well take those into consideration.
Absolutely.
After you've recovered, you are now around here and you're still driving backwards. What's the next thing you do? You kind of half mentioned this, but I want to look for a specific word.
Well, you got to know what's going on. So it's I'm trying to think now what starts with an I, but you want to be aware of what's going on.
It's something you gather.
There you go. Information. There we go.
Yes. Information. This is all the things you got to know in advance. If you're just blindfolded, you have no clue. If there's a teammate that's here going to hit the ball backwards, you going there doesn't make any sense. So you want to see, all right, there's a teammate. Good to know. Now I will do something else. Speaking of doing something else, what do you do with the information? You make
a decision.
Beautiful. There we go. Yes, those are the steps. Now, this is obviously the most simplistic version where the ball is completely stationary. In this case, it makes sense. Now, there is other teammates, and sadly, they ruin your plans and opponents that are in the way of you doing what you want to do. So all of those things become harder to do. But if you look at these steps, then you can see that there's a basic kind of rotation through steps. You do your action, you recover, get boost, get ready, get back. You get your information. That's usually done from a little bit of distance, because that way you actually see a lot more. Mm-hmm. You see there's an opponent, you see there's a teammate, all of the things that are valuable to you going. And then you make your next decision. Now, what's interesting is, obviously, if this is a very streamlined, precise game, and you will all have played one of these at some point, you feel like you're flowing through the games.
Yes.
It's a very rare thing. Everything is going right. You just happen to be where the ball is. And it more often than not feels like your opponent is having one of those games than it is you are having one of those games. And it's because you're not using these steps to the best of your ability, normally.
Right.
So if I take this information, and I'll save it here, I'll have it readily available whenever we need to, but we look back at the play here, and we look at the way you set up for things, there is like a very inefficient way of cycling through these steps.
Okay.
Especially if we look at the first one, for instance. You end up going for, let's call this a recovery first. Right now, you have 100 boost, you're behind the ball. So all the last thing you're going to do is you're trying to get to like a neutral position to get all the information, right?
Okay.
Or not?
Sorry, was that a question? Yes. Well, I mean, my instinct here is sort of get close to the action to observe what's going on.
Okay. Okay. So getting close would make sense. I like the positioning here you're going for here. But then we are waiting for the information that dictates whether or not you can go or where you're even going. So
Right.
the information that is required for you to go, or kind of, quote unquote required for you to go, isn't available yet. Obviously, if this wasn't with a teammate you trust a little bit, you can absolutely send it past Zebo and take the ball off him. And if I'm speaking with Golds, most of those will agree that that could be one of the way to go.
Yes.
Now, this is Champ Plus. We're all a little bit more sophisticated over here. So we wait our teammates out most of the times. Sometimes.
Yes.
This is not solo queue, sorry. So in an ideal situation, the information would come to us as early as possible. But what happens here is that the information, when it's not immediately presented to you, kind of makes you, it seems, restless. And you seem to make a decision already.
Okay.
The ball's definitely going there. Why else would you be turning for this early? Does that make sense?
No, it does make sense, and I'm trying to imagine what my thinking was at that point, and I'm not entirely sure. But yeah,
think, and this is why you're playing based off an assumption. The assumption that the opponent is going to hit this because they are turning for this in this direction.
Okay.
So
that
your
makes
assumption
sense.
is probably I need to get back and be ready in case that happens, and that's a fair assumption, but it's not happened yet. Is there a realistic chance here that they are shooting this towards target? Like, are you currently having to? No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Nothing that they can do from this situation that Z-Bone won't block will be an immediate threat towards goal.
Correct.
So the furthest they can go right now, I think, from this position is somewhere, well, past Z-Bone and like potentially forward. So in this area. That's why I think the furthest they can get it. The other option being on this side.
Right.
So this is the furthest you can get. And because of you creeping up just a little bit too far, probably than you were comfortable with, and then making this decision early on, based on an assumption where they are going to hit it, the actual information, which is the interaction that happens here, that will lead to you making the right decision, is not available. And when that happens, you realize that you're very well set up. It's actually beautiful. You drive just in that corner for this area, but have completely forgotten about the other area.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So the decision-making process, and in the decision-making process, your idea of positioning is actually not wrong at all. I think it's pretty much spot on. However, I think that you're too early with the decision to change the position.
Okay.
How complete is that story until now?
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, because clearly I'm not where I should be. I'm sort of not involved in and kind of trying to make myself relevant from a very irrelevant position.
I don't even want to say you're not where you should be.
Okay.
I think that's one step too far. I think it is a realistic option.
Okay.
I think that with you playing twos here, understanding the roles of my teammate is first, and you are everything else.
Yeah, got you.
That you kind of forgot about one of those roles.
Okay.
And actually, we can include that as well. Another system. Let's make it interesting. Let's do a lot of like core features here. Let me know if it gets too much. What is your definition of the roles that are required for teams? Let's do it on blue this time.
Well, in twos, you're either first man or second man, and
I'm specifically talking not necessarily about first or second man. I'm talking about the roles that need to be done on a pitch at any given time, or that are meant to be done. And there is three that we kind of understand here. So
okay, well, there's obviously
refer to threes.
I mean, there's attacking. Or offense, and then there's defense in the middle, something else.
So When I'm referring to roles, I normally refer to the first, second, and third man and how you would describe it. How would you describe a first man? If you had to explain to someone completely new to the game, this is what a first man does.
He's concerned with the very next interaction on the ball.
Yes, I like it. The very next interaction of the ball, is that just in offense, just in defense?
Well, in attack, it could be either, because if they're coming at you at your net, there's still a first man and second man, and the first man is wanting to get to the ball, challenge, get in the way, make the guy do something, like not just sit there and wait for the guy to line up his action.
Make the guy do something. I really like that. So I'm going to stick with that one, and I'm going to summarize it for you, because what you've said, all very fair. The word I'm looking for here is pressure. The first man, whoever they are, or the first role in this case, is the person who's putting pressure on. Be that in control, so in attack. That means they have the ball, they push forwards,
yes,
right? To goal. They force pressure on the opponents in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas in defense, they are pressuring the oncoming attackers, so the opponents, to do something else. So they are, again, putting on the pressure. Is that a good summary for first man or first person?
Yeah.
So for first role, we have pressure. Now for second, how would you describe the second role or man as a player?
I don't know. Waiting to see what happens. I don't know.
Are they the second one to go?
Are they what?
Always.
Say again?
Are they always the second to go?
Oh, absolutely.
Is it an order?
What do you mean? Well, yeah. I mean, if the first guy's pressuring, you don't want to go at the same time, because that's going to double commit you. So you want him to sort of complete his action or anticipate the pressure and then respond to that interaction after the pressure.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think you're absolutely right, but I think that there is, if we're talking roles, there is things to be done, things that like partake on the field at any given time. Now, normally if you have a field and you have these players, then you could say, all right, there's a ball here, my teammate is first, obviously because they're on the ball.
Yeah.
Then we have someone here and someone here. Who is second in your like immediate, without any further information?
Is this a three situation?
Yeah, a threes game.
Okay, then middle X is second man.
Yes, so this is the second and this is the third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, now an opponent comes in and the ball shoots past number 2 and immediately to 3.
Yeah.
Do they have to wait until 2 gets there?
Of course not.
Okay.
Then
he's not always second.
Oh, okay. Okay, got you.
That's what I'm looking for. And this is, for me, not about the order of things. This is a very common misconception, actually, in like rotations. People often assume second is the second to go. Second is the second role. I see Velocity actually put a pretty good like version in. Third man covers worst and best case scenarios. I'm not even talking about worst and best case, but I do like that as a base definition. You could say the third is there for the worst case and the 2 is there for the best case, but I think it's a little bit inconclusive. Because if you say best case, that means that 2 would only be there for the perfect pass and the perfect touch. And I think you can better see it as divisions of the field. You're trying to obviously do something like this. Everything there, the first man goes. Everything there, the second goes. Everything there, the third goes. Or even something like this, if you want to be precise. And there is other things. There's other situations you can go for. For example, if the first is looking to just push forward and there's only one defender here, the second can also go for a demo, for example. That's also the role of a second. And the word I'm looking for second really is facilitator.
Okay.
You are trying to facilitate. Yeah, it makes sense. Sorry. There we go. Facilitate whatever the first is trying to accomplish. And this is usually in a positive way. So best case scenario, but mainly aimed towards anything positive. That's kind of the definition I've given second. That's the best way I've found to describe him yet.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Definitely.
Is that agreeable?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah. I like it. So that is my definition of the second role. Bringing it back to like actual people. The third, worst case, yeah, I usually refer to this as safety net. This is someone to fall back on in case all hell breaks loose. Both these players suddenly Deus Ex Machina get demoed. You still have a third person there that can be your last line of defense.
Yes.
This is something that most people prefer to have because obviously people make mistakes. We're all people after all. It's a lot more fun if you can make a mistake and not immediately get punished for it.
Yes.
So these are the 3 roles. Now,
Okay.
obviously, in 3s, you're looking to take 1 role each because that's the best way to kind of do this. But in 2s, you're kind of combining the 2. And you can't really be both pressure and safety net, for example. Sure, there's sometimes ways you have to do this. And especially in 1s, this is why it's so hard to kind of play 1s, because you have to do so many things at the same time. You have to deliver the pressure, but you also have to recover. You also want to give yourself safety. So how do you not make the mistake, or,
Yes.
all of that things? How do you help yourself to the best of your ability to facilitate your own? It's a lot harder to do it all when you're playing 1s, but in 2s you can divide the field in first role usually and second and third. That's the most common way. Now, from this understanding, from the positions again, we bring it back to this situation, and you'll see that when you are positioning yourself initially here, you've actually got a pretty neutral position. This is a position where you can still go
Yes.
right in case this suddenly goes sour, goes bad, and you still can go mid to facilitate.
Yes.
However, when that touch happens here, you make the decision to kind of zoom in on the one thing you expect to happen here.
Yes.
So the decision you've made that is early in the kind of picking order, or that you do earlier than the information is available to you, is based on the experiences you've built as a player in how long you have played this game, how many hours you've played in this game, and how many times you've seen this game, and your expectation that initially you think it's going to go there, and then afterwards you see complex and you think, well, actually it's going to go there. So you change based on an assumption. And driving on assumptions, while sometimes very useful, in this case, lead you to make 1, 2, 3, 4 extra turns before you can actually go for the ball. And that renders your complete setup for the situation pretty much useless.
Yes.
Is that a complete story up until this point?
Yeah. No, I think it's
all right, great. It's been 30
this
minutes.
is the the longest way to explain 11 seconds. Yeah.
It really is. I do apologize.
No, absolutely not.
But this is like the foundation on which I probably am going to base the rest of the story. So these are 2 pretty, I say basic. They're not really basic, but they come from like, I understand the game. Now I'm going to give it names. We're actually going to address it a certain way.
Okay.
This so far all makes sense, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool. So then you can see that in the steps you're taking to pick your decision, or to pick your position, your position making, I don't think, is what's really the issue. I think it's the element of the orders you're doing it.
Okay.
And if you can change that, where you can be a lot more efficient, you wouldn't have to, rotate off now to get your boost still, leaving you to leave this play for a very long time, and you can see it in the follow-up as well. The information is not available to you, but again, you already are assuming it's going to go to the left. You've already, again, assumed this is going to go behind Z-Bone. You're no longer positioned for a position in the midfield. And I'm kind of missing that patient where you're just like, all right, well, I'll see what happens. What's going to happen here? What's going to happen? I don't know. What's going to happen? Oh, ball's going there. Cool. And you can still challenge it another way. So your positioning is largely based on an assumption right now.
Okay.
And I think for it all to kind of click a bit better, especially if you're trying to go for what we have been working on in the past 11 days.
Yes.
To get to a position of, I want to look at, the personal control, and I want to be set up for as much as possible.
Yes.
You should be looking for more opportunities to kind of wait out the information until it is your time to go.
Got
and once
you.
you start getting familiar with that process and those steps, you start seeing that the right position often is very apparent. I don't have to ask you where you most like to be right now.
Yes.
Where would you like to be? Well, you'd like to be a little bit further backwards, probably like here, so you could follow up Z-Bone, and Z-Bone could go safely. So if I ask you to pick your desired position from a standing point, or a standing,
Stationary from this.
Stationary. That's the word. Yeah. From a stationary point of view, it normally makes a lot of sense, and you can pick the perfect position.
Yes.
But when it's happening live, because of like live decisions and usually either assumptions on what's going to happen or the inability to read what's going to happen, often a fun thing that happens when, for example, really high players play against like a lower player. They expect someone to go for a certain play and it just doesn't happen.
Yes.
And then they're not ready for whatever happens. That assumption, when wrong, doesn't allow you to actually use what is given to you. And what's given to you is a pretty free challenge sometimes, and you are unable to position yourself accordingly.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And I think if we look at that step-by-step process first, bring that to your twos game.
Okay.
From there, it will be a lot easier for you to understand the position you're trying to go for, because you now have the information that's available to you. All the available information was right there. You've held on to a neutral position where you can do all the things you got to do up until the point you know what it is you're doing. And then all you got to do is do it. And once that process becomes more natural to you, you can start speeding up the process again.
So I'm
doing
trying to
things at the same time.
So I'm trying to think now how I bring this into the game. Like, like the next time I go and play, how do I focus my attention on that? Is it a case of, okay, what is like, focus on what is the information available? Like, I'm trying to think what can help sort of bring that closer to me. If it's sort of more observation, more looking for what is before deciding. Like I'm trying to, how do I break that sort of gap between assumption and what is what I'm rambling through here.
Yeah, no, I think for starters, it'd be really good for you to just focus on the steps. Again, we're starting this kind of challenge from fundamentals. If you understand the steps and you know for yourself what you're doing when, that will make a lot of sense already.
Okay.
Now that is pretty basic, because
action, recover, information, decision, action. Okay.
Yes, it means you almost, and this is not going to take like a 10 days. You're just going to go into your next game. You're going to do your action. It's like, oh, action, very nice. All right, what am I doing now? I'm doing my recovery. Okay. Now here comes the information. I can see where the ball is going. The ball is going there. Oh, I've got that information. Where's the ball going? Oh, it's going there. Sweet. Now I can make that decision. So you're literally going to go step by step. And if you can explain to yourself, all right, I'm information right now. I can see what's happening. All right, now's the decision. Here's my action. This is still my action. There we go. I can't go anymore. Recovery, get some boost. Here's the information again. Go next. And if you go through that cycle a couple of times, you start seeing how basic it is.
Okay, I like that.
You also start seeing that it's not completely true, but it is a basic understanding. Because, for example, things like demos aren't even taken into this.
Yes.
When do you go for a demo? Demo are opportunity things. They sometimes show up. You can't always go for a demo. You can't always not go for a demo. So sometimes you'll find that there is an option for this to be included. But if you at least understand the first four, you'll find yourself initially.
But in a way, it kind of is, because if you think about you've taken your action, and a demo presents itself. That's kind of recovery, information, decision, all compressed into a very short amount of time.
Yep. It kind of, you can, and this is why it's such a basic system, because it applies to everything. Yes. Even the idea of, all right, I jumped forwards, I get a boost. Oh shit, I'm too far forwards, I have to go back, is also action, recovery, information, decision. And stupidly enough, that's like a miniature circle within the, so you could say it for every step, and that's just kind of the way the brain processes things as well.
Yes.
If I do a jump, I have to land first before I can take in information and do my next turn again.
Right.
But you speed up the process massively. But understanding that as like the core of a rotation and building on top of that makes a lot more sense, because you're going to be very aware of when you're looking for information still. Like, oh, the information is not available. And if you are already like close to the ball when you don't know where the ball is going to be in a second, it's very hard to read. Kind of fun exercise is to like go for the ball, and the last second when you go for the ball is just press one of the random buttons.
Right.
on the pad. See how many times you're able to still do like a good touch. You'll see that that reaction time is just not there, because every time you expect something to happen, the ball is not there. So your reaction is very much delayed in that case. So doing something and then pressing and then pressing, then reacting allows you to kind of be sharp. Whereas if doing the same thing, if I'm driving towards the ball and then I'm pressing this, I've already kind of set in my mind what I'm going to do.
Right.
And the same thing happens to making a decision and changing your decision are very hard to do at the same time.
Yes.
Or are very hard to do right after one another even. So for you to make decision, recover, and then still be able to make an efficient touch, that's the kind of part that I'm looking for.
Okay.
Based on the first 30 seconds of the one game we've analyzed.
Yeah.
That I think is going to help you most.
All right. Well, what I like about this is it's given me one thing to focus on. My issues with replay analysis in the past is you spend an hour and a half analyzing the 5 minutes, and there's just my brain is just too filled with things. I like this because I can literally talk myself through this the next time I play. Okay, this is the action. How am I recovering? What's the information? And even and as these things often do, it might even slow me down a little bit, and that's okay because it's something I can actually
that's a
just
promise.
and that's great. I look forward to that. But it's a thing. Similarly, like, you know, work on the dribble without boost. It's very simple things to focus my mind, because I'm a simple beast in that way, and I can't be thinking about 12 things I'm trying to do better in a game.
And that's completely fair, and I think I respect that decision. As long as you know what you're doing it for as well. That's the big one. Because in the long run, your positioning is going to improve because you already know where to position. If I ask you where to position right now, you know where to position.
Yes.
But it's because of the decisions, I think, or I've seen so far, and I hope you see that now as well.
Yes.
And anyone in chat, that is currently what's happening.
Okay. That makes complete sense to me. I like that. You know, the most valuable sessions for me are the ones where I can come out of it and go and do something immediately, if that makes sense. So yeah, now I'm keen. Like, okay, let me go play and talk my way through and see how bad or well it goes and take it from there.
I mean, the thing is, this is like kind of a step back, and that's the interesting part, because taking that step back but learning something from it or understanding this is an interesting way that coaches often don't like to work, because and full honesty, the next couple of games are gonna be a pain. You're gonna play this game, you're gonna be like, why? Like, yeah, I made my decision before the information. Why did I do that? Beastman, why'd you make me aware? The blissful ignorance of you playing your assumptions-based game and just going quick, yalla, 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 enjoying the speed are over. And I am sorry for that.
Yeah.
But it's going to be, in the long run, trust me, all will be well. All will be better.
No, listen, I agree with that completely. And it was, that goes back to the conversations we had about what I'm trying to do with this is it, in so many respects, I have to go backwards in order to build it correctly. Because sometimes, you know, when you've built your foundation skew, you spend everything else you do is trying to correct that something that's already skew. So you're trying to build in that correction, and that's not working for me. That's what's now getting me in trouble. So I love the idea of just take it right back and build this thing properly. Okay, good. So my plan of action from here, I'm going to continue with my rings map and dribble map until I'm feeling really good about it, and then I think I'll talk to you about the next mechanical type thing you think I should be working on to improve. But I'm happy to carry on with those two for now. But we've added in this third element of now something to do in game, which I really like. So I'll spend a few days on that, and then obviously we'll chat and decide when an appropriate time is for us to do this, to have another session. That will wrap it up for now. Peace.